Good afternoon, Judge Morrow.
Good afternoon. Where are we going to begin this afternoon?
We're going to start with position number 6, Ms. Jones.
Good afternoon, Ms. Jones. I am Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video to help prevent the spread of the virus. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? Was that a yes? I'm sorry, Ms. Jones.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You have been charged in case 23 CR 003595H with simple battery. Let's see, who do we have on for pretrial today? Doesn't appear that anyone.
They're coming on now, Judge. They're coming on now.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Howard. We are on position number 6. Ms. Jones, does she have a history?
Second arrest, 2013 domestic violence out of Mississippi.
Thank you. Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Falk.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. So this incident happened June 4th, 2022 at around 7:10 p.m. Officers were dispatched to 2612 Steele Avenue Southwest. They met with a Miss Constance Jones, who stated that she got into a physical altercation with her mother, Janetta Jones, and the defendant, who is her aunt, as well as her uncle, Major Jones. So what occurred, according to Ms. Constance Jones, was that she was standing at the front entrance of that location, and these individuals, the defendant and the other two Joneses, came to the location. Miss Janetta and Sabrina Jones proceeded to jump on Miss Constance Jones. They were pulling her hair and choking her, and she stated that Major stepped out of the truck and stood by the driver door. She stated that Major Jones had a gun in his hand but never pointed it at her, and she explained to the officers she had no idea why she got jumped by her family members. She did not have any visible injuries at the time, which is why this is charged as a simple battery. The state's recommendation, since I understand that there was a previous case in Mississippi, we are recommending on this case a $2,000 surety bond, no further contact with Constance Jones, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. I'm not able to ask for a stay away because it's unclear whether this is Miss Sabrina Jones' residence or one of the other Jones family members' residence.
Okay, thank you. Ms. McLeod, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Miss Jones is 40 years old. She's the mother of 6 children, 2 of whom are still minors and who live with her. She denies that she assaulted her niece. In fact, she tells me that she was there with her sister and her brother trying to assist her niece in moving. The court will note that the warrant says that there were no visible injuries on the alleged victim. Also, Your Honor, according to the warrant, the incident happened about a year ago, at least a year ago. With respect to my client's previous cycle in Mississippi, she tells me that she was the victim of extreme domestic violence by her husband, and that was related to that, Your Honor. I would ask the court, given the fact that this is her only arrest is more than a decade ago, to give my client a signature bond so she can get out of jail. Nothing further, Your Honor.
It's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, no further contact with Constance Jones, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Jones.
Hey, Your Honor, my apologies. Can we just sound for Constance Jones just to make sure we were not able to establish contact, but I want to make sure she has her opportunity to speak.
If Ms. Constance Jones is on the Zoom call, now is your opportunity to address the court if you choose to. Doesn't appear so, Ms. Falk. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Your Honor, that concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes, Ms. McLeod, you have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Same to you, Judge.
Position number 3, Ms. Brim.
Judge, excuse me. I just want to let you know that the interpreter has gone to the breakout room with her client and Miss Kim. So I'm just letting you know they're in the breakout room right now.
Okay, so any cases that are with Ms. Kim, she's in the breakout room. Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Brim. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Brim, you've been charged in case 23 CR 003592D with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
No.
Yes, Ms. Falk.
Excuse me, I didn't realize I was muted. So this happened June 4th, 2023 at around 10:30 p.m. That's at 2900 Camp Creek Parkway, apartment P15 in Atlanta. Officers had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Winfield Daughtery, who stated that he found out he had a child with the defendant 3 days prior to the date of this incident. He stated that the defendant had been calling and showing up to the residence without his consent, and that she had been at the front door prior to the officer's arrival, and he heard yelling in the background, turned around, saw the defendant entering through his back patio sliding glass door, and was attempting to fight his current girlfriend, Miss Alize Griffin. The officer was able to enter the residence before the altercation escalated, place the defendant in handcuffs, and escort her from the location. It appeared that when the officer returned to the location and checked the patio door, it appeared that the defendant had used the bottom right apartment balcony to climb up to the defendant's balcony, to Mr. Daughtery's balcony, and open his patio door in an attempt to engage in a fight. So I can only say, Your Honor, she was very committed to her cause that day of criminal trespass. So the state's recommendation on this, given that she does have no history, we are recommending a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial. We are also recommending a stay away from 2900 Camp Creek Parkway, apartment P15 in Atlanta, Georgia. We are further recommending that she have no further contact with Winfield Daughtery or Alize Griffin, and I will put that information in the chat to the litigation manager so she has the proper spellings of the name, as well as one-day anger awareness. We are also going to sound for Winfield Daughtery in case he is here in court.
If Mr. Daughtery is with us and would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Good afternoon, Ms. Wells. Any objection to any of the state's requests?
No objection, Your Honor. I would just like it noted for the record that my client does deny the allegations as stated by the state.
Okay. So it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial, one-day anger awareness, the stay away, the no further contact with Mr. Daugherty, and the no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Brown.
Position number 5, Denton. We also have a family member for him. Have a seat over here in the first row.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Denton. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Denton. Thank you. You have been charged in case 23 CR 003594E with battery against a female who is pregnant. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
I got first arrest.
Yeah, Ms. Falk.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened November 18th, 2022 at 11 a.m. at 275 13th Street Northeast. Ms. Shanice Peaks told police that the defendant, who was her boyfriend at the time, brought her to that location for an appointment. She believed she was going for a pregnancy class, but instead he told her his plan was to have her abort her child. She stated that she refused to be around at the point that she realized that was his intention and that's what he wanted her to do. She stated that he then pulled her arm, choked her, threw her to the ground because she refused to follow him inside the abortion clinic. Miss Peaks had abrasions to her legs and her torso that were observed by the officers. And there were witnesses, two witnesses on the scene, two separate individuals who did not know these individuals, who stated that they could attest to what Miss Peaks was saying, that they observed the defendant trying to drag her into the abortion clinic. We did have an opportunity to speak with Miss Peaks about this. She stated that she and the defendant are no longer in a relationship. They no longer live together, but they do share a child. She stated she did confirm the events in the warrant. She stated she has not had any contact with the defendant since this incident, that he has tried to reach out to her, but she's ignored him. She stated that this was the first time he had been violent with her, and she gave birth to their child 2 weeks ago. She stated she does fear the defendant because she believes, based on this, he is unpredictable, and she does not want any contact with him and wants him to stay away from her residence, which I will put in the chat for the litigation manager. She stated she will be here on Zoom, but she does not wish to speak at this time. So the state's recommendation is going to be a $5,000 surety bond, no further contact with Shanice Peaks, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and stay away from the address of Miss Peaks, which I again will put in the chat for the litigation manager. That's all for the state. Thank you.
Ms. Wells?
Thank you, Judge. My client is 27 years old. This is his first arrest. He has never had any interaction with law enforcement. And speaking with my client, it seems Ms. Peaks has created this narrative designed to alienate my client from his child. My client states that it was not his idea, that they have both agreed that she would have an abortion. He picked her up from Noonan, drove her all the way to the city. And then it wasn't until that time when she got out of the vehicle before he could park that she informed my client, that she told the clinic that it was his idea and that she was getting the abortion. He was forcing her to get the abortion. And so because she had told the clinic that, he was not allowed to go inside the clinic with her. An argument ensued once he was able to park his vehicle, and it was actually Miss Peaks who attempted to attack my client. He tried to restrain her to prevent her from hitting him, and she fell to the ground. There was a witness, but they came after the fact, after she had fallen to the ground. My client has a 5-year-old child. He wants to be involved in this child's life. He denies any kind of issue with Miss Peaks, but she has made several statements that it is her intent that she does not want him involved in the child's life. This incident did happen back in November. My client states that he was at the hospital with Miss Peaks when she gave birth and spent the entire weekend with Miss Peaks and their newborn baby. And so for all of those reasons, I would like to request a signature on bond. My client is employed. He works at Rick Hendrick Automotive in car sales. He's also a native of Georgia. He has community ties here. He has a high school diploma from Stevenson High School. And so I think a signature on bond is appropriate in this case.
There'll be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge, 1-day anger awareness, no further contact with Ms. Peaks, stay away from her address, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Denton.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Right.
Who do we have next?
Position 2, Boca.
Good afternoon, Mr. Boca. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. Ms. Boca, excuse me. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 003591E with giving false information to law enforcement officer and simple assault. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
9th arrest, 2022 failure to appear, probation. 2021, same thing. 2020 probation, 2019 failure to appear. 2019 trespass, no-law. 2019 battery DV. And 2019 theft by shoplifting, sale of marijuana conviction.
Okay, Ms. Falk?
Yes, Your Honor, this happened June 5th, 2023. Ms. Boca, the defendant, and Ms. Zenaria Moultrie were in a heated dispute regarding the defendant's missing keys, which the defendant believed Ms. Moultrie had stolen. The defendant then pointed pepper spray at Ms. Moultrie while they were sitting across on the same bed and stated, "If you don't back up, I'm going to spray you." At that point, the officers, when they heard that narrative, detained the defendant, and they did discover a bottle of pepper spray on her that she stated she had had inside her bra at the time. The officer also was given the false name by by the defendant of, let's see, Tracy Brown. And when the officer ran that information, they then learned her last name was false. And when they were able to get that information later on and establish that her real name was Tracy Boca. The reason that that is important, Your Honor, is because this defendant had at the time and currently has an FTA on 21 CR 003783E. She has an FTA from August 16th of 2022. And as you've heard from pretrial, her history is essentially littered with FTAs and probation violations, which gives the state serious concern in regards to the Ayala factor of her appearing for court and being a flight risk. She's currently in jail on an FTA. So that establishes that she is in fact a flight risk and that she may not come to court if called. For that reason, the state is recommending a $2,000 surety bond. That's going to be $1,500 for the simple assault and $500 for the giving false name. We also ask that she have no further contact with the victim in this case. And we further ask for no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And I am not sure if this is the defendant's residence or Ms. Moultrie's residence, as we are unable to reach Ms. Moultrie, but we would ask for no further contact with Zenaria Moultrie. We would like to sound for Ms. Moultrie at this time. We did have some difficulty reaching her due to our limited information at the time when we received the case.
If Ms. Moultrie is on the line and would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Doesn't appear so, Ms. Falk. Ms. Wills?
Thank you, Judge. The address, if you're referring to the 250 Piedmont Avenue Northeast, that is my client's address. She was actually allowing Ms. Moultrie to reside there temporarily. They got into an argument after Ms. Moultrie began stealing from my client. This upset and angered Ms. Moultrie. They had a verbal dispute where Ms. Moultrie was very aggressive, began throwing things at my client and tearing up her apartment. My client is a native of Georgia. She's employed and will not qualify to receive services through the public defender's office. She is currently working on her GED. She is just 21 years old, and she currently has a $2,000 cash bond for her failure to appear. Your Honor, I would ask for either a signature on bond in this case or a $1,500 surety bond. And I would also ask that she be allowed to rectify that failure to appear as soon as possible and appear before her judge. Thank you.
And Your Honor, given the fact that Ms. Moultrie does, it appears, reside at that address, I understand that the defense's contention is that she temporarily resides there, but I'm not sure how long she's been residing there. We would ask for a one-time police escort to establish that Ms. Moultrie is no longer at the residence prior to Ms. Boca taking back the residence.
Okay, was Ms. Moultrie ever at that residence? I mean,
According to PD Wills, she stated she was living there temporarily, but I don't know how long temporarily is and if that's enough to establish residency under Georgia law.
My client didn't state how long that they were residing together. She just said that she was allowing Ms. Moultrie to live with her, that she had fallen on some hard times, and she's a mother, Ms. Moultrie is.
Okay, so for the giving false information, it's going to be a $250 surety bond. For the simple assault, a $750 surety bond, a total of $1,000 surety bond. No further contact with Ms. Moultrie. She can go back to the address with law enforcement to make sure that Ms. Moultrie is not at the address. If Ms. Moultrie is at that address, then Ms. Boca will have to find someplace else to go. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Boca.
Thank you so much.
Position number 1, Adams.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms. Adams. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Adams, you've been charged in case 23 CR 003608H with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
12 total. Last arrest was in December for trespass. It's 2 open trespasses in state court. Open aggravated assault in Superior Court. 2017 simple assault NOLO. 2017 battery DV conviction, criminal damage to property, first offender. That's it.
Yes, Ms. Falk.
So, Your Honor, the 2 open criminal trespass cases, that's going to be 22 CR 008323H and 22 CR 004390H. Those both occurred at the same location as our current case, which is the Baptist Towers at 1881 Myrtle Drive. Judge Williams gave the defendant a $1,000 SOB bond with release to pad for the December 29th, 2022 criminal trespass, and a bond was provided by Your Honor in the amount of a $2,000 surety bond with a stay away and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons on July 12th, 2022 on the case ending in 390H. So she has been given bonds on the previous cases, released on those bonds, both times with a stay away order from Judge Williams and from yourself to stay away from Baptist Towers, and has returned there again on yesterday. So this occurred when Montrelius Mosley, the security officer, called the police because the defendant was at that location after given multiple criminal trespass warnings. She was most recently criminally trespassed on April 27th of 2022 at the request of the leasing manager, Afton Mays. At that point, she was placed into custody. The state does have some concerns. There seems to have been some MH issues prior to this, so I'm not sure if there are ongoing issues. The state would maybe recommend a social worker go and see the defendant, but we are recommending at this time a $2,000 surety bond, stay away from Baptist Towers at 1881 Myrtle Drive, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And if Your Honor does give a surety bond on this case, we would ask that all 3 cases be placed on the next SAP calendar so they can be addressed globally at this point, because we're kind of collecting more cases the further along this goes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Falk. Ms. Wills.
Thank you. I actually had or requested that a social worker go and speak with Ms. Adams. She declined needing any housing resources, and the social worker did not indicate that he believed mental health, or I'm sorry, MH was an issue. However, Ms. Adams could not tell me whether or not she was born in Georgia, stated she did not know what a job or employment was, stated she was unsure whether or not she had children. So I did have some concerns in regards to those answers. Ms. Adams also said that she has dealt with homelessness for the past 10 years. And so for all of those reasons, I would request a signature on bond. And if not, I would ask for the lowest bond possible, and I would leave it in the court's discretion as far as what assessments would be necessary for Ms. Adams.
Okay, I don't go down on bonds when people come back before me. She was given the opportunity to have a signature bond. Then she came apparently before me, and I gave her a $2,000 bond. So that apparently did not deter. It's going to be a $4,000 good bond. No further, stay away from the Baptist Towers. and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Certainly something is certainly going on with Miss Adams, Miss Wills. I think it's a good suggestion of Miss Fawkes that we deal with this all on the SAP calendar if she's still in custody on June 20th. And if you will, again, have someone go out and make another assessment, Ms. Wills, to report to the judge who is going to be on that calendar when and if she comes before them. Good luck to you, Ms. Adams.
Thank you.
Position number 13, Murr.
Good morning. Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ms. Muir. I'm Judge Eric Marno. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Could you pronounce your last name for me? You're on mute there.
Muir.
Muir. Thank you, Ms. Muir. Ms. Muir, you've been charged in case 23 CR 003600B with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
It's our 8th arrest. 2017 trespass, terroristic threats, cruelty to children, ag assault that was dismissed. 2011 ag assault dismissed. That's it.
Ms. Falk.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened and this incident actually initially involved cross defendants. However, the state determined that this defendant was the predominant aggressor due to both the fact pattern and the history. This happened June 5th of 2023 at 1005 Hampton Drive in Sandy Springs at about 10:55 p.m. Officers spoke with Miss Christina Eason, who stated that she told the defendant their relationship was over. She wanted to break up. The defendant became very upset by this information and began yelling and causing a scene. She stated that when Miss Eason opened the bedroom door, that she advised the defendant put her finger in her face, continued yelling. At that point, Miss Eason advised that she pushed the defendant's hand out of her face. And at that point, the defendant placed her hands around Miss Eason's throat and began choking her. Miss Eason then put her hands around the defendant's throat. And at that point, she stated that the defendant hit her 3 times with an open hand. There were on Miss Eason numerous scratches on her shins, scratches on her elbow, and scratches and bruising on both sides of her neck, which corroborated her statement regarding being choked. The defendant's version of events was that she was struck by Miss Eason, but did not assault Miss Eason in any way, which again contradicts the injuries that the officers could clearly observe to Miss Eason's persons. For that, based on the history, although there have been dismissed cases, Your Honor, they are of a family violence nature. She had a aggravated assault, terroristic threats, and cruelty to children case in 2017 that was dismissed, as well as an aggravated assault in 2011 that was dismissed, both out of, and she also had a probation violation in 2009. And then a previous 2009 simple battery, family violence, aggravated assault, cruelty to children that was not presented to the grand jury and was no billed out of Flint Judicial Circuit. I say all that to say that there is a pattern here regarding these dismissals where there appear to be multiple allegations of family violence, where these cases then kind of died on the vine, which, as you know, Your Honor, is not unusual in domestic violence situations. For that reason, the state is asking for a $5,000 surety bond. We are requesting no further contact with Christina Easton. Stay away from 1005 Hampton Drive in Sandy Springs. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. I do not believe Miss Eason is out of custody at this point. We just filed the paperwork this morning, so we will not be sounding for Miss Eason at this time.
Okay. Ms. Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Muir is 32 years old. She was born in New York. However, she has been living here in Georgia quite a bit. Your Honor, she graduated from high school and she's been working as a forklifter. Right now, she is kind of having personal medical situation where she has to take FMLA to leave her work to take care of her physical condition. Your Honor, she does not have any children, but she has no objection to stay away or no further contact with Miss Eason. She already made an arrangement to reside with her mother at Jonesboro, and she will not have to contact her at all. In lieu of those no further contact and stay away, she would like to have a signature on bond since she is financially challenged as she is getting unpaid FMLA right now. We would like to request for a signature on bond. If Your Honor is not inclined to give her a signature on bond because of all those dismissed cases, we would like to request for a maximum $1,000 good bond. Thanks.
It's going to be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge, 1-day annual awareness, no further contact with Miss Eason. Stay away from the 1005 Hampton Drive address. If she needs to go back there to retrieve any belongings, she can have a one-time escort with a law enforcement. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Thank you.
Good luck to you, ma'am.
Position number 15, Taylor.
And are we ready at some point? I know that they've come back out of the breakout room to take the interpreter case at some point.
We can do that next, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And tell me again, this is 16?
No, position 15, Taylor.
15? Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Taylor. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor, you've been charged in case 23 CR 003602A with terroristic threats and acts, 2 counts. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
He got 5 cycles. I think he's been in custody since 2021. He got 3 open felony cases. That's it.
Okay. Oh, yes. Good afternoon, Ms. Bickerstaff.
Good afternoon, Judge Morrow. So this incident occurred yesterday in the jail on Rice Street. And this is where the defendant, while in jail, he told the maintenance man, Mr. Horace and Mr. Horace Parker and Mr. William Harris, that y'all MFers ain't taking S out of here. We're going to turn this B up, as they tried to remove a television from the zone in the jail, Your Honor. For these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $1,000 surety bond, $500 on each charge.
Nothing further, Ms. Bickerstaff?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Well, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Yeah.
Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Taylor is only 20 years old. When he was in 12th grade, he was arrested and he is in the jail ever since then. He couldn't finish his high school. He was still a student. He's been there for about more than 2 years, Your Honor. He has 3 felony charges that he has to fry right now. So we would like to request for a signature on bond. I was hoping to have his mother here to support him. He is trying to pursue his GED, and honestly, my client was not really remembering what happened. He was tased by the officers and he was under medical cell to be taken care of. And here he is right now. And he wants to do GED even at the jail. So that's all, Your Honor. We would ask for signature on bond.
I am here.
His mother is here to support him.
Okay, yes, ma'am. If you would like to address the court, I'll need for you to activate your camera and I'll have to swear you in.
Okay. How do I?
Okay, can you raise your right hand for me?
Yeah.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, what would you like to tell the court, ma'am? Okay, you don't have to testify, ma'am. Can you tell me your name?
Shioki Farmer.
Yes, Ms. Farmer. Only if you would like to address the court. So you're not forced to address the court, but if you'd like to tell me something, I'm happy to hear it.
No.
Okay. As such, thank you for being here, Ms. Farmer. It's going to be a $500 good bond per charge, a total of $1,000 good bond. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Taylor. You also, Ms. Farmer.
I'm
All
sorry,
right.
repeat the bond again. I didn't hear you, Judge.
It's $500 per charge, so $1,000 total surety.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Position 18, the Spanish interpreter case,
Okay.
Bangas.
Yes, good afternoon, Ms.
Good
Chansey.
afternoon, sir.
If you can raise your right hand,
Sure.
do you swear or affirm that you will translate from English to Spanish and Spanish to English to the best of your ability?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Venegas Lopez. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Buenas tardes, señor Rubén Vanegas. Soy el juez Eric Morrow y esta es la audiencia de listas de causas estatales de trámite rápido. Estamos conduciendo esta teleaudiencia para evitar el contagio del virus. ¿Está usted de acuerdo con que tratemos su caso de esta manera? Yes.
You have been charged with battery family violence.
Usted tiene un cargo de golpes y lesiones, violencia familiar.
Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
¿Hay antecedentes, señor Howard?
I got a first arrest.
Tengo que este es el primer arresto.
Yes, Ms. Bickerstaff.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident occurred on June the 1st of this year at La Abuela, located at 4055 Old Milton Parkway in Alpharetta. Este incidente ocurrió el 1 de junio del 2023 en el restaurante La Abuela, que está situado en el 4055 de Old Milton Parkway. Thank you. Old Milton Parkway in Alpharetta. And this is where officers were called to La Abuela in response to Mr. Christian Betancourt, I'm sorry, but it's spelled Betancour, who is an employee. He had been punched in the face, which caused bleeding to his mouth and nose. La policía fue llamada por referente a un señor llamado Christian Betancourt, que era un empleado quien recibió un puñetazo que le hizo sangrar la boca y la nariz. Christian told officers that he and the defendant previously lived together and that the defendant came to his job asking for rent money. However, Christian hadn't resided with him for the past 2 months. El señor Christian Betancourt dijo a la policía que el acusado y él habían vivido juntos y el acusado fue allí a pedir dinero de alquiler. Él había residido por 2 meses. So when the 2 men walked outside, Christian was met with a punch to the face by the defendant, and then the defendant left the location. However, officers were able to review surveillance footage of the incident. Los 2 hombres salieron afuera en cuanto el señor Betancourt dijo que él se encontró
con un puñetazo en la cara. El acusado se fue del lugar y la policía tuvo acceso al video del incidente.
For these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond, 1-day anger awareness course, no further contact with Mr. Christian Bantiker, to stay away from La Abuela at 4055 Old Milton Parkway, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
La recomendación de la sentencia de la fiscalía es $3,000 de fianza. I'm sorry, what's surety bond?
Yes, $3,000 surety
Thank
bond.
you. Una fianza de $3,000 bajo garantía. Debe tomar un curso de control de la ira, no tener más contacto alguno con el señor Christian Betancourt, mantenerse alejado del restaurante La Abuela, localizado en el 4055 Old Milton Parkway, y queda prohibido el uso de alcohol, drogas y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
Ms.
That's
Kim,
all from the state.
Eso es todo. Señora
Yes,
Kim.
Your Honor. Mr. Vanegas Lopez is 55 years old, Your Honor.
El señor Vanega López tiene 55 años de edad, su señoría.
He has his son, daughter-in-law, granddaughter here in Georgia living together.
Él tiene a su hijo, nuera e nieta aquí en Georgia viviendo juntos.
He has been here in Georgia for 1.5 years, working as a driver for a DoorDash.
Él ha estado trabajando ha estado en el estado de Georgia por 1 año y medio y ha trabajado en el servicio de DoorDash.
He has a high school graduation degree.
Él ha terminado la secundaria.
And I would like to request for a signature on bond.
Yo quisiera pedirle que usted le otorgue una fianza bajo firma o no monetaria.
He has no objection to stay away from La Abuela and no further contact with Christian Betancourt.
Él no tiene ninguna objeción para mantenerse alejado del restaurante La Abuela y también para no tener contacto alguno con el señor Christian Betancourt.
This is his first arrest ever. We would like to request for a signature on bond.
Como es su primer arresto, quisiera solicitarle que le otorgue una fianza bajo firma o no monetaria.
yes, Ms. Bickerstaff.
And I would like to sound for Mr. Christian if he's on the Zoom call.
Señor Christian Betancourt, ¿está presente en la plataforma? Por favor, prenda su micrófono. Christian Betancourt.
Okay, Ms. Christian Betancourt is on the line. Now is your opportunity to address the court.
Señor Betancourt, si está en la plataforma en línea, ¿quiere usted hablar con el juez?
Doesn't appear so, Ms. Bickerstaff. As such, it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through the jail.
Hasta ahora va a ser entonces una fianza de $3,000 bajo firma a través de la cárcel.
No further contact with Christian Betancourt.
No tener más contacto alguno con el señor Christian Betancourt.
Stay away from 455 Old Milton Parkway.
Mantenerse alejado de la dirección 4055 Old Milton Parkway.
And no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Y queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo fianza.
I'm going to let you out, Mr. Vangas Lopez, but you have to make sure that you appear for your next court date or they're going to put a bench warrant out for you, okay?
Señor Betancourt, yo lo voy a permitir que salga bajo fianza, pero usted tiene que asegurarse de comparecer y presentarse en el tribunal en la fecha indicada de nuevo, o si no se le va a emitir una inmediata orden de arresto, ¿ok? ¿Está bien?
Sí, correcto.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Good luck to you, sir.
Buena suerte, señor.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think
Let's
that's
see.
all.
Okay, thank you. If there's nothing further for Madam Interpreter, I'm going to release her. We don't have any other people that need an interpreter today, do we?
Would you
Does
like
it-
me to make an announcement, Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead. Thank you. Ms. Jensen.
Hay alguien en la plataforma que esté presente y necesite un intérprete en español. Por favor, prenda su cámara.
Okay, doesn't appear so. Thank you. We appreciate it
Thank
as
you.
always.
You're welcome. Have a good.
Position
you.
8, Lovelace.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lovelace. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, my honor.
Thank you. You have been charged in case 23 CR 003597C with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Your Honor, my apologies for interrupting, but my understanding of Lovelace is going to be a plea. I did send the paperwork over to Sergeant Norris and Deputy Johnson. I do not see the paperwork back yet, but I'm sure it's in progress.
Do you all have has he filled the paperwork out? Who spoke with Mr. Lovelace from the PD's office?
I did, Your Honor.
Okay, and is there anything that I need to know?
No, I had
Okay.
a full conversation with Mr. Lovelace and he was pretty fairly adamant about his desire to plead.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So courtroom 2, have we gotten his paperwork?
Yeah, Officer Norris is sending it now.
Okay, so he has completed it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're
All right, yes, Ms. Falk.
So the state's recommendation on this, and as soon as we get the paperwork, I'll go ahead and forward it to the litigation manager, but the state's recommendation on this is 12 months probation, 1 day in custody, credit for time served, release for time served. Balance of his probation is to be suspended, and it's going to be a stay away from the MARTA station at East Point until July 24th of 2023, which is when his suspension expires.
Mr. Lovelace, let me just say, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We have offered you the assistance of the public defender. It's my understanding that you would like to proceed pro se this afternoon and accept the recommendation of the state as a guilty plea. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and can you raise your right hand for me?
Yes.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Thank you, sir. Mr. Lovelace, it's my understanding that in case 23 CR 003597C, you wish to plead guilty to criminal trespass. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol this afternoon?
No, sir.
You've been represented by counsel, or we have given you the opportunity to be represented by counsel, but you'd like to proceed without the advice of counsel, is that right?
Yes, but I go to doctor, they told me that I see my tongue, PC in my tongue, so I had to go back and forth to doctor.
Okay, so I'm just asking you that you'd like to proceed pro se, meaning without a lawyer, is that right?
Yes, that too.
Okay, did you have the opportunity to go through the plea sheet that we sent over?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
did you go through that sheet line by line?
Yes.
And did you sign the bottom of it?
So my man, yes.
Okay, you understand that you have a right to a trial by jury on this charge, and by pleading guilty to it, you're giving up your right to a trial by jury. Do you understand that? Okay, has anyone forced you to plead guilty?
No, I do it by myself. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Lovelace. Let me just say, Mr. Lovelace, you know you can't go back to that East Point MARTA station until July 24th. Okay? So, so you don't go back there until at least, or you can go back July 25th, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Lovelace.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Position number 14, Sterling.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Sterling. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sterling. You've been charged in case 23 CR 003601J with criminal trespass and damage to property. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Well, the rest. He was arrested twice this year, probation. 2023, reckless conduct, obstruction, fleeing. 2018, shoplifting, felony obstruction, conviction. In 2019, he was given 5 years probation for that, so that should still be running. 2018, battery DV. 2019, given false name conviction. And a 2019 battery DV arrest.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Bickerstaff.
Yes, Your Honor. So the defendant also seems that he has an open case for simple battery family violence. And the case number on that is 20 CR 004201J. And the victim is the same, the victim of that case is the same victim in this case, Miss Angel Harris, where he had a $1,000 surety bond and to stay away from a Camp Creek Parkway apartment address, Your Honor. Whereas this incident occurred January 19th of 2021 at 4201 Lakemont Drive, which involved Miss Angel Harris, where the defendant broke 4 windows at Miss Harris's home with a long blunt object, Your Honor. The state's recommendation is a $1,000 cash bond and to stay away from 4201 Lakemont Drive, no further contact with Miss Angel Harris, 1-day anger awareness course, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond, Your Honor. Our office was not able to speak to Miss Harris, but however, she's on the Zoom call. I would like to sound for her at this time.
So to address the court and your opportunity to do so. Doesn't appear so, Ms. Bickerstaff. Ms. Bickerstaff, the case that you were referring to, what was the alleged offense date?
Let me pull it back up for 1 second. Let me look at the order. The offense date on that is July 24th, 2020.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Ms. Kim.
Yes, Mr. Sterling is actually 27 years old. He has no objection to stay away from 4201 Lakemont Drive, and he does not want to have any further contact with Miss Angel Harris either. So we are totally fine with those as long as he gets a lower bond. Instead of $1,000 cash bond, we would like to request for $1,000 the bond. He is very excited to have his job back from the previous job that he used to work. He's been in the jail from January 2023. So almost about 5 to 6 months he has been in jail. And as soon as he gets out of the jail, he will be able to work at Taco. And he is looking forward to pursuing his commercial driver license course, so that way he can be more productive as a U.S. citizen here in Georgia. We would like to request for a signature on bond if possible. This happened in 2021, which is still kind of holding his foot to kind of like he cannot move forward because of these past histories And we would like to request for maximum $1,000 good bond. Thanks.
What's holding him? Is something holding him in custody? You said
This
he's
is
been in
it now.
since.
He's been
Yeah.
locked up from January 2023 for another charge that was open. So
Okay, and is that charge still holding him?
no, this is the one. He wanted to get, he was transferred to take care of this matter.
So did he make bond on the other matter?
If I understand correctly, I think he served the time, but I want to double check with him. Can you tell me if it was a bond that you paid to get to move from Mr. Sterling? Not the facts about this case. We just need to clarify that if you served the time for another one that was holding up for your. I think he's nodding at the door. I'm not nodding his head.
I'm sorry, it was muted, but yes, I had certain time for it was probation. I completed 5-year probation at the same time, and probation I have for good neighbor.
Okay, so if I'm right, if this is correct, Ms. Kim, this is the only case that's holding him in custody at the present time. Is
Yes.
that your understanding?
Yes. Is it right, Mr. Sterling? I
No.
want to-
Yes,
Ms. Lewis, can you help me with this?
Yes, sir. He has a FTA that's holding him in jail.
Where?
Okay,
The FTA, $2,000 surety. It's a state court FTA. I gotta look up the number that's associated with. But it's FTA 23-001340 FTA.
Miss Lewis, do you see that FTA dated for March 31st of this year?
I'm double checking now.
If so, that FTA is associated with the simple battery case from the 2020 incident. There was a warrant issue for that on March 31st.
The incident date, well, the FTA was issued on, it has 3/29/2023. So I'll double check to make sure what case number is associated with,
Let's see.
but it sounds like it's probably the one that you're talking about.
Oh,
you want to ask questions right on? You too. You too. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so in the simple battery family violence case, I see in Odyssey, a warrant issue. It's a dormant case warrant issued, and it was issued on March 31st of this year.
by whom?
I can't get into it.
Okay,
It's by
So-
Judge Besson, and the case number is 20 CR 004201 J as in John.
Your
Okay.
Honor, he was incarcerated. That's why he couldn't come to the hearing on March 29. He was incarcerated at the time.
okay, so he's still gonna have to deal with that, but as far as this case goes, I'm gonna give him a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Angel Harris. Stay away from the Lakemont Drive address, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. So, Mr. Sterling, I'm gonna give you a signature bond on this case, but you're gonna have to deal with that FTA apparently before you get released. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Good luck to you, Mr. Sterling.
Thank you.
Position 7.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. 7, okay.
Jonah.
Good afternoon, Mr. Joyner. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Mr. Joyner. You have been charged in case 23 CR 003596Y with criminal trespass and damage to property. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Fifth arrest, last arrest was back in May. Battery DV out of Forest Park. That's open. 2022 disorderly conduct, 2019 DUI.
Yes, Ms. Falk.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened at 5401 Old National Highway, apartment 1606 in South Fulton. And it occurred in March of 2023. The officers responded to that location and spoke to Ms. Kawana Jackson, who stated her son was in a drunk rampage and damaged her television and broke several figurine statues in her home by punching and throwing the items. She stated that he became upset when he got drunk and she confronted him about his behavior. And she also stated he punched out a car window in the parking lot, cutting his arm. The state does have some serious concerns here, especially when we couple this with the fact that the defendant is currently has an open case for family violence battery out of Forest Park. We do have some concerns about the risk of reoffense here. We are going to request a $2,000 surety bond and a stay away from 5401 Old National Highway, apartment 1606. No further violent contact with Kawana Jackson, his mother, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. We would at this time like to sound for Ms. Jackson. We did attempt to call her, but we weren't able to leave a message due to her voicemail being full.
If Ms. Jackson is on the line and would like to address the court, now is your opportunity to do so. Doesn't appear so, Ms. Falk. Ms. Wills.
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident occurred back in March. My client has not had any other issues or incidents involving himself and his mother. His mother has moved from that residence, so a stay away from that location. I mean, he has no reason to return to that location. He has maintained contact and communication with his mom. He has also paid for and replaced the television that was damaged on that date. My client is 31 years old. He is a Georgia native. He is currently unemployed and will qualify or does qualify to be represented by the Public Defender's Office at this time. I would request a signature on bond. If Your Honor is not so inclined, I would ask that his bond not exceed $500.
Signature bond through the jail, no further violent contact with Ms. Jackson, his mother, stay away from the Old National Highway address, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
You went out, how much was that?
$3,000 signature bond through the jail. All right, good luck to you, Mr. Joyner.
Who's that?
Position number 10, Lyles.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lyles. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Lyles, you've been charged in case 23 CR 003606E with failure to report striking a fixed object, improper erratic lane change, driving on a suspended or canceled registration, and failure to maintain insurance. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
You got 12 total. Last was 2020 ag assault dismissed. 2012 possession of a firearm during a commission and speeding, that was dismissed. And they got a few probation violations from 2009. That's it.
That's Ms. Bickerstaff.
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred December 15th, 2022 on Georgia 400 southbound. And this is where officers were dispatched to the Georgia 400 highway for a single car crash. And this is where the defendant's car hit a concrete median wall, causing a lot of damage to the front and rear of that vehicle. No one was in the car when officers approached the vehicle, but officers did note that there were a lot of pieces from the car scattered along the roadway from the accident. When officers ran the license plate on the car, it came back that there was a suspended registration status of October 27, 2022, and the vehicle did not have any valid insurance. There was a witness, his name is Mr. William Grow, and he told officers that he pulled over to and asked the defendant whether he needed assistance. And then when the defendant heard and saw police vehicles approaching him and the two passengers he was in the car with, they got into another vehicle who had stopped because of the accident and then drove off. Mr. Grow was able to kind of describe the defendant. And so after running the defendant's license plate, the officer was able to pull up a photo lineup and Mr. Grow was able to ID the defendant, Your Honor. So for these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $4,000 surety bond, $1,000 for each charge, and no driving without a valid license, no driving unless he obtains updated registration and gain insurance for the car, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
Mr. Vargas.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
I'm trying to figure out who represents Mr. Lyles.
Miss Kim, I believe, interviewed him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Kim, I'm gonna give him a $250 signature bond for each charge, which makes it $1,000 signature bond through the jail. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Does that suit you?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank
All
you.
right. Good luck to you, Mr. Lyles.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Position 9, Loving.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lovin. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we are conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Lovin, you've been charged in case 23 CR 003598Y with hit and run. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
19 total. Last was 2010 out of Boston. It says straight warrant. Before that was 07 forgery of records. Everything else was old, but I saw.
Ms. Falk?
Yes, Your Honor. I will state that I'm looking at his driving history. He had a suspension for failure to appear a violation date was July 6, 2021. The suspension date was November 25th, 2021. He also had unsafe operation, and that was February 23rd, 2023. The disposition date was for that. He was convicted March 30th of 2023, operating without equipment. And that was the same date of violation and the same conviction date. That was his previous failure to appear out of Jonesboro. Okay. So he has two traffic offenses previously that he was convicted on. And on this date, and this was a private warrant that was taken out, Your Honor, so I just wanted you to be aware. This involved a hit and run at, a hit and run accident where the defendant fled the scene and caused Mr. Michael Christmas and his wife, who were driving. He struck their vehicle, fled the scene. According to the private warrant, Your Honor, it stated that they went to the location, and this happened October 22nd of 2020. They went to the defendant's residence, apparently, along with the police. The officer knocked on the door. The defendant did not come to the door. However, the car that struck Mr. Christmas and his wife was in the driveway. The state's recommendation on this case is going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, no further contact with Mr. Michael Christmas, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. And we would like to sound for Mr. Christmas. That's all for the state.
Mr. Christmas is on the line. Now's your opportunity to address the court. So what you're telling me, Ms. Falk, is that this private citizen had to do his own work to figure out who hit him and left the scene of the accident without stopping, and he and his wife themselves had to track Mr. Loving down. Is that the
Well,
gist?
apparently, according to the warrant, he and the officer went to that address together, knocked on the door. The defendant would not come out. He identified the vehicle, but yes, after that, it appears that he was then forced to take his own action in order to have a warrant taken out for his hit and run case. The action was not taken by the police department.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Ms. Wills?
No objection to the signature on bond, but in speaking with my client, he denies knowing who Mr. Christmas is, and because it is a citizen's warrant, it's really unclear how Mr. Christmas obtained my client's identity, address, name, but my client does deny the allegations.
A $3,000 signature bond through the jail. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Loving.
Your Honor, we are also asking for no further contact.
Oh, of course, no further contact with Mr. or Mrs. Christmas. Thank you.
Position 12, Mohammed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mohammed. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I agree.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Mohammed, you've been charged in case 23 CR 003599G with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
I got first arrest.
Okay, Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred yesterday at the Greyhound bus station at 232 Forsyth Street. And this is where the defendant was asked to leave the Greyhound bus station by the security officer, but the defendant refused to leave. And so when officers arrived, they informed the defendant that he had to leave the bus station. And however, the defendant told officers that he was going to get on the bus regardless of what the officers were telling him. And so after that, the officers had to detain the defendant. The state's recommendation is a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services and to stay away from the Greyhound bus station at 232 Forsyth Street, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Bus station, do you know, Ms. Bickerstaff?
I'm sorry.
Why were they asking him to leave?
They were asking him to leave because they said that he was causing a disturbance at the bus station.
Okay. You have any objection to the signature bond, Ms. Kim?
No, I would like to request for a jail though.
Okay, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the Greyhound station on Forsyth Street, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Mohammed.
Position 19, Watley.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Watley. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Watley, you've been charged in case 23 CR 003604A with simple battery, family violence, and criminal trespass and damage to property. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
I got first arrest.
Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, so this incident occurred yesterday at 320 Fabrum Road. And this is where the defendant attempted to punch Miss Kerisha Fallon, that's KEYRICIA Fallon, FALLIN. He attempted to punch her in the face, but he missed, and instead he punched her television screen, causing it to break. The warrant also noted that the defendant pushed Miss Fallon at least 3 times, and that he also punched her in the face and head, but officers did not note any injuries. Our office was able to get in contact with Miss Fallon today, and she let us know that her and the defendant, they lived together briefly, and she is currently pregnant with the defendant's child. Miss Fallon also confirmed the events in the warrants, and she also stated that in the midst of the assault, she was hit in the stomach by the defendant. And so after that, she experienced having to throw up a lot, and she experienced bleeding from her private area, Your Honor. She also admitted to us that she is being monitored at the hospital currently from this attack, Your Honor. She's okay. She did let us know that the baby is okay, which is good news. She does not want any contact with the defendant, Your Honor. And she stated that the officers were able to get the few belongings that the defendant did have at the residence. So there's no reason for there to be a one-time police escort, Your Honor. So for all of these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $5,000 surety bond, $4,000 for the battery, family violence, and $1,000 for the criminal damage to property. We're asking for a one-day anger awareness course, no further contact with Miss Fallon, and to stay away from 320 Fairburn Road. And if Miss Fallon's on the Zoom call, I would like to sound for her.
I believe I see Ms. Fallon there. Ms. Fallon, if you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity. You do not have to address the court, but if you would like to address the court, you'll have to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in. Okay, it does not appear that Ms. Fallon would like to speak. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Watley is 22 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia. He has no objection to stay away or no further contact. I'm really glad to hear that the baby is okay. This was kind of shocking to me, but anyway, he made an arrangement to stay with his mother. So stay away and no further contact is absolutely fine. He graduated from high school and he's been working as a crew member at Subway. I think he has to go back to work so he can pay for the child support, getting ready to be a father soon. I would like to request for signature on bond. This is his first ever offense. He needs to work to take care of his family. Please, Mr. Watley, do not talk about the facts of the case at all. You have a right to remain silent. We don't want to hurt your case at all. Thank you.
All right, for the simple battery, it's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge. For the criminal trespass, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge. Makes for a total of a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge. One-day anger awareness. No further contact with Ms. Fallon. Stay away from the Fairburn Road address. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Your Honor, when he gets his baby this coming, I don't know how long it will be, can he have a third-party transfer to the first time?
When that happens, if this case is still pending, then you can request a modification. I think it's premature at this point, but I'm certain that a modification would be appropriate if and when that appears, and this is still pending. All right, good luck to you, Mr. Watley.
Thank you.
Position number 4, Mr. Cross.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cross. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the state court expedited accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video? Was that a yes, Mr. Cross?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. You've been charged in case 23 CR 003593C with theft by shoplifting. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
60 total. Last arrest was in March for possession of drug-related objects and shoplifting. 1 probation and car, possession of cocaine, theft by receiving, driving without a valid license. 2022 failure to appear, trespass conviction, a couple of probation violations. 2019 possession of a firearm by convicted felon, couple of disorderly conduct convictions. That's it. Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Howard. Ms. Fall?
Yes, Your Honor. He also had two previous cases that were recently closed in our office. That's going to be 22 CR 001805A. That was a criminal trespass case in March of 2022, and a entry into MARTA and possession of drug-related objects. He pled guilty to that on May 10th, 2022, and that's 22 CR 002442A. In this case, Your Honor, the defendant entered the Dollar General at 2750 Donald Lee Hollowell Parkway on March 22nd. The store manager stated that the defendant had threatened the previous evening, had shoplifted and threatened other employees and himself. He stated he normally steals laundry detergent, but settled on soap because it was all out and because it had all been stolen. He stole 6 bottles of dish soap. At that point, the officers also were able to view a video of the event that occurred. And the manager further stated that the defendant has continuously shoplifted from Dollar General and from other stores. The last 2 times he stole from this store, he began making verbal threats to the individuals as he left with the merchandise and threatened to shoot up the place. And so at that point, Mr. Hallbeck, who's the manager of the Dollar General, wished to press charges because this has been an ongoing issue. The state is requesting a $2,000 surety bond for the theft by shoplifting. Stay away from the Dollar General. And he also has a Cobb County case as well that he has a hold on because of his Cobb County probation, which he has violated. That's all for the state. Oh, and no further contact with Mr. Halbeck, who is the manager of the store.
Okay, Ms. Wells?
Mr. Cross is 63 years old. He is a native of Georgia. He has faced homelessness for the past 6 years and is interested in participating in a housing program. I did have one of our social workers speak with him and provide him with some resources. He is currently unemployed for the most part, but he does work odd jobs. He has obtained his GED. Currently, his bond is set at $2,500. I would ask for a signature on bond or that his bond be reduced, excuse me. He is unable to afford a $2,500 bond at this time, and he does deny the allegations as stated by the state.
It's going to be $1,000 surety bond. No further contact with Mr. Halbeck. Stay away from the Dollar General on Donnelly Parkway, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Cross.
Thank you, sir.
Position 16, Thompson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Thompson. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson, you've been charged in case 23 CR 003603J with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
6 total. Last arrest was 2022 simple battery. He got an open simple battery DV and trespass in state court. 2021 trespass, 2013 probation, 2012 forgery, and that was a conviction, and a 2010 robbery conviction. That's it.
Ms. Biggerstaff?
Your Honor, so this incident occurred June 4th of this year at 2980 Jonesboro Road. And this is where Ms. Hollinger called officers, Ms. Shantavia Hollinger called officers, explaining that her child's father, the defendant, would not leave the residence. Ms. Hollinger told officers that she had picked up the defendant so he could spend the night. And then when it was time for him to leave, he asked her for money, in which she refused to give him some. And so he got mad and he slapped her. Officers noted that Ms. Hollinger had a laceration to her lip because of the slap. She told officers that she ran out of the apartment and went to a neighbor's apartment so she could call the police. The defendant, however, denied having a physical dispute with Ms. Hollinger, but he did continue to tell officers, just take me to jail. Our office was able to speak with Ms. Hollinger, and she let us know that they have 2 children together, and that on the night of this incident, they were trying to co-parent their children. Also, Your Honor, she let us know that there's a previous case between the 2 for simple battery, and that case number is 22 CR 001755J. And this is where you, Your Honor, gave the defendant a $5,000 signature on bond through the jail and to have no further violent contact with Ms. Hollinger. And this was on March 28th of 2022, Your Honor. Yet this time there's a battery family violence involved with Ms. Hollinger. Furthermore, she let us know that on this incident, when she went to the neighbor's house, her 2 children, her 2 minor children, one 3 years old, one was present, and that the defendant grabbed one of the children and was dragging her. And she did send us a picture where that child had a laceration to her face because of the defendant's actions, Your Honor. She also let us know that she does not want any contact with the defendant, and she wants him to stay away from her and their children. And for these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 cash bond, 1-day anger awareness course, no further contact with Ms. Hollinger or the children, and to stay away from the 2980 Jonesboro Road address, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. And if Ms. Hollinger is on the Zoom call, I would like to sound for her.
Hollinger, I would like to address the court. Your opportunity to do so. Doesn't appear so, Ms. Bickerstaff. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Thompson is 31 years old. We have no objection to stay away and no further contact, actually. I spoke with Ms. Hollinger and she was still afraid. She did not want to have any contact. So we complied to her requests. And my client already made an arrangement to stay with his auntie at 661 University Avenue. So we will not have any problem with those 2 conditions, as long as he gets $3,000 good bond, not the cash bond. He cannot afford the cash bond at this point. He's been working at Train Warehouse as a forklifter, and he's making money and he's willing to pay for, actually they have 3 children, Your Honor, 3 years old, 1 year old, and 5-month-old. And he has additional child, 4 minor children. He also has to pay for child support for the other one, and he has lots of financial responsibility for 4 minor children. So we would like to ask him to have a chance to get out of the jail and go back to work so he can financially support those 4 children for the sake of children. High school graduated and he works hard. We have no objection to stay away. Thank you.
Okay, I already gave him the opportunity to get out of custody on 1 occasion by giving him a signature bond. I gave him a $5,000 signature bond, which lets me know that I was concerned at that time. And here we are back again. It's going to be a $5,000 surety bond, no further contact with Ms. Hollinger, stay away from the Jonesboro Road address, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond.
Thanks, Your Honor.
Good luck to you, Mr. Thompson.
Position 17, Travis.
Good afternoon, Mr. Travis. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. Do you agree to have your case heard by video?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Travis, you've been charged in case 23 CR 003607A with battery, family violence, cruelty to children in the third degree, and terroristic threats and acts. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
12 total. Last arrest was 2022. Drug trafficking out of Oklahoma. 2018, 2017, federal probation. 2014, federal larceny conviction. I didn't see any violence.
Okay. Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, so this incident occurred November 14th, 2022 at 2770 Carolina Ridge in Riverdale. And this is where the officers were advised by Ms. Brianna Rogers that her child's father, the defendant, had came to her house and he began beating on her. He was punching her in the face several times in front of their child. The child's initials are KT. Officers noted that Ms. Rogers had a knot on her head and they observed broken fingernails on her. The defendant did leave the location before the officers arrived, but Ms. Rogers showed officers text messages that the defendant was sending her stating that he would beat her up if she called the police. Our office was able to speak to Ms. Rogers today, and she let us know that they share one child together. She let us know that she does not want to press charges, but however, she did confirm the events listed in the warrant and stated that, and she did state that her child didn't witness the incident, but she was present in the home. However, she told officers in the warrant that the child witnessed the incident, Your Honor. For these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $5,000 surety bond, $3,000 for the battery, family violence, and then $1,000 each for the other two charges. 1-day anger awareness course, no further contact with Ms. Brianna Rogers, and to stay away from that 2770 Carolina Ridge address, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. And we're also asking for a third-party escort for the children. And if Ms. Rogers is on the Zoom call, I would like to sound for her.
Ms. Rogers?
Yes, I'm here.
There. If you would like to address the court, Ms. Rogers, I'll need for you to raise your right hand for me. Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give before this court be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Thank you, ma'am. What would you like to tell the court?
Hi, Judge. I just want to say, I just think this was an isolated incident between me and my son's father. We were both heated in an aggressive state of mind while arguing. My son was not present during the actual altercation. And since then, we've been working on our co-parenting, and we have been in contact since that altercation. There's not been any other altercation since then. And we've just been working better with communication amongst both of us and, you know, trying to be parents to our son. Okay,
you're not afraid of him?
No, I'm not.
Okay, and is he taking care of your son?
Yes, he is. So we're basically both been working on that since that incident.
Okay. You have any questions, Ms. Bickerstaff?
No questions from the state.
Okay. If it's okay with you, Ms. Kim, for the battery, it's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial. For the cruelty, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial. For the terroristic threats, $1,000 signature bond through pretrial. Makes for a total of a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial per the judge. 1-day anger awareness, no further violent contact with Ms. Rogers, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Is that okay with you, Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Good luck to you, Mr. Travis.
All right, Judge, we are done. I do have a waiver of appearance for position number
20.
It was Ricky Williams. I'm not sure what, position 20.
And what, Miss McGee was on the calendar for yesterday and she's back on for today. What's going on with her?
I would like to request another medical reset, and I've conferred with Mr. Howard. No one from our office was able to speak with her, our social services division, given her state, her mental state. And so Mr. Howard is going to go out there and meet with her prior to see calendar tomorrow.
Okay, so you want us to put her on the 6-7 calendar?
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll put her on for tomorrow. Okay. All right, thank you. We appreciate it. We'll go ahead and handle the waiver. But you all have a good rest of your day. I appreciate everything.
Thank you. We appreciate you too, Judge.
Okay, thank you. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
Let's see, Mr. Williams charged with certain acts prohibited in criminal trespass. Does he have a history, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, 50 total. He was arrested 8 times this year.
Okay, for similar offenses?
Trespass, yeah. He got open
Okay.
cases in state court too.
Okay. Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, Yana. So this incident occurred yesterday at the Martyr Station at 680 Lee Street. And this is where the defendant, while on the train car, he entered an unauthorized door that had signs posted to that particular door, that door is for emergency use only. The defendant also has an active MARTA suspension that was issued on April 11th of this year, and it went into effect May 11th of this year, and is set to expire July 10th of this year, Your Honor. For these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $2,000 surety bond, $1,000 each, and to stay away from the MARTA station on Lee Street at 680 Lee Street.
How many open cases does he have in state court? Do you know, Ms. Bickerstaff?
No, let me look that up. I didn't see it earlier on the GCI, but let me just.
Okay, all right. Yes, Ms. Kim.
Yes, Mr. Williams is 29 years old and he was born in Mississippi and he is here in Georgia. I actually asked our social worker services to have a visit with him because he's been residentially challenged, but my social worker was not able to interview him in person, even though he was there at the jail because of his condition right now. He was intoxicated. So we could not determine whether we need any further. So either he gets a signature on bond today, or we would like to request for reset to tomorrow. So that way we do have a better idea of how he is doing.
Did you find anything, Ms. Bickerstaff?
Yes, I found a few. Here's one for public indecency from 2019. Would you like the case number?
No, I'm just suggesting that I'm going to take your recommendation, Ms. Bickerstaff, the $2,000 good bond, but I just want to make sure that if he's still in custody at the June 20th SAP calendar, that we present all those cases so that somebody can take a look at them.
Okay, I will say just some of them are a little dated from like 2015 and stuff like, I see a 2016 that's open, but yes, okay.
Okay, all right, so it's gonna be a $1,000 good bond per charge, makes for a total of $2,000 good bond. To stay away from the MARTA on Lee Street and abide by inactive MARTA suspensions. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Bridgewater, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay, once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is June the 20th. Position number 1 is going to the SAP calendar with a $4,000 good bond. Position 2, SAP calendar with a total $1,000 good bond. Position 3 is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 4 is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Position 5 is reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. Position 6 reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position 7, reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through the jail. Position 8 took a plea, and I have that paperwork already. Position 9 is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through the jail. Position 10, reset further notice with a total $1,000 SOB through the jail. Position 11 is medically reset till tomorrow. Position 12, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position 13 is reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. Position 14 is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through the jail. Position 15 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $1,000 good bond. Position 16 is going to the SAP calendar with a $5,000 good bond. Position 17 is reset further notice with a total $5,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. Position 18 is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through the jail. Position 19 is reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. And position 20 is reset to the SAP calendar with a total $2,000 good bond. Are there any questions, comments, or otherwise?
If not, thank you all very much. You have a good rest of your day, and I will
Your
see
Honor, are
you.
you going to be with us at all the rest of the week?
Yes, I'll be back on Thursday.
Okay, just to let you know, we're going to have a full house. We have 3 new attorneys coming on board and 2 interns.
Oh, okay, very good. Happy to have them.